What's up, YouTube? This is John Torrey here, and tonight I'm going to be talking to you about how garage sailing is the best practical business, and I put in air quotes here, class that I've ever taken, and why it was one of the funnest things that I did this summer, also going into the fall, and one of the most tangible things that you can do today to build your business skill set and make a little money while you're doing it. So I want to start off by talking about what is garage sailing. So spending your spring, summer, and fall attending local garage sales to find items to flip for fun and profit. So heading to your local Goodwill to find items to resell at a profit, scouring Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace to flip items, selling things in your own home or your friends' homes that you no longer use. You'd be amazed at how much stuff right now. Old iPods. People want those. I've sold 2 or 3 now. People want those types of things. Old clothes, shoes, things like that. That's something that can get you started. But everybody right now probably has a few $100s worth of stuff that they just no longer use. It's an excellent way to practice negotiation, product marketing, pricing strategy, behavioral trends, and product management. And so I'm going to dive into some of those things and what you learn and all that good stuff. So why garage sailing? So for me, I follow Gary Vaynerchuk and I saw an episode of Trash Talk. You can find it on YouTube. Again, he is the CEO of a major marketing agency, a wine company. He's one of the most prolific content creators out there today. And I was just hooked by it. If this guy's a CEO and he's going to garage sales to buy things and flip them and has talked about how doing something similar as a child really helped him develop his business acumen, and it's something I can do today, sign me up. So if you feel stuck, you need extra money, you're bored, you want to practice negotiation, copywriting, trend spotting, anything, this is for you. This is a tangible way. You could literally start tonight, and I have this as a piece of my advice at the end. Find something that you no longer use and put it on Facebook Marketplace tonight. Pause this video, go do that. Go make an extra 10 or 15 bucks. So it allows you to practically take action and learn the fundamentals of a business. It's a micro business. That is exactly what it is. So far, this summer I made $2,500. I still have a lot of inventory once the Christmas season hits. I'm selling multiple items per week. It's obviously not sustainable, as a full-time thing. I mean, I'm sure for some people it could totally be that. But it's a micro business. I have a little miniature business that it's low risk and it's teaching me every single day. You can read articles all day long. You can watch videos like this. And again, I recommend you pause and you go list your first item on Facebook Marketplace. But this just gets you out there and just start to get your hands dirty, everybody. And what's interesting is I was talking to a business professor at the graduate level, and this is one of the things that he encourages his students to do, but they don't always take the advice. And I'll just interject here quickly. Like, I notice, people will ask you what your time is worth, and maybe you're asking that too. But as I'm sitting here now, I'm not getting paid any money. I don't know if you're getting paid any money to watch Netflix or whatever it is that you do. But when you think about the value of time, it's really up to you and how you want to do that. I think that this is, not only do you make some money, but you get incredible value from the business experiences. So what are some of those things that you can learn? Supply and demand. This is very fascinating. Why is a LeBron James PSA 10 Topps Chrome basketball card suddenly going for $2,500 when they were going for $1,000 over the summer? Why were they going for $1,000 to begin with? Supply and demand. Understanding your customer. So I work as a product manager, and that's so important. It doesn't matter what role you're in, at what company, whether it's technology, whether it's social services, anything, you need to understand the person who you're interacting with and trying to provide value for. Seeing trends before they happen. So this is really cool. Like, one of the things that once you dig into eBay sold listings, Mercari sold listings, and what are people posting and what are people selling at garage sales and trying to pump up to you, and what are some of those things that are trending and why? Once you get into it and you get your hands dirty, like you'll really start to figure out some of the patterns. I'll talk about those a little bit later. But it's incredibly useful for investing, for product development, for marketing, for entrepreneurship, all of these things that you can learn starting right now. Finding value. You can learn to find and create value, and there's various ways to do that. There's different air quote again business models for these micro businesses, but they apply in the real world, right, at scale. And I'll correct myself, this is the real world. It's just a smaller scale, but you can certainly ramp that up or apply it to your day job, your other side hustle, or your business. You learn about distribution. Distribution is very, very interesting. There's different price points on different platforms. There's different benefits to some platforms versus others. And you'll start to learn that, you'll take an MBA course in marketing, and there's different distribution models, and those matter for, your product and the marketing, things like that. I mean, it's the same with when you garage sale and you buy a bunch of different items. The distribution matters. You learn about customer service. I think everybody should have a job where they have to learn about customer service. You learn emotional intelligence. You have customers. So I'm sitting at this desk right now. I have customers, and I need to take care of them, and I need to interact with them in a positive and professional way. Even if this is a micro side business, it's an opportunity to build that customer base, build those relationships, build those reviews. And, if I decided to scale this, I have a really good base for doing that. And the last thing here is that arbitrage is a real thing. I really didn't believe this, and a lot of the doubters, when people sort of look at me and I've surprised a lot of people. I think one of the best ones was I bought a toothbrush, an electronic toothbrush. It was sealed in the package with a water pick flosser. I actually bought it for $5. I thought that I would use it, but I remember sort of seeing online that I was like, these things are like $150 a pop. And I sold it that night on Facebook Marketplace for, I think it was like $90. So I made $85 for maybe 10 minutes of work. And one of my friends was just in disbelief at that. And even I was. And I was like, this is, the feedback you'll get is, oh, well, if it's worth that much, the person's going to know about it or, whatever. But arbitrage matters. That toothbrush at a garage sale wasn't even worth the anything above $5 because the market wasn't there. So the value changes. It's like water in a desert. Water becomes much more valuable in a desert. So this toothbrush, I was willing to take the time to look it up, list it on Facebook Marketplace, list it online, go and meet a stranger and do the handoff and answer questions about it and all those things. So the lesson here is that arbitrage is a real thing. And there's real big businesses around that. Look at TJ Maxx is a big one, right? Look at Amazon. Look at these different online platforms. There's arbitrage in those. So first lesson, a little more in-depth, supply and demand. I was an economics major. It was all about supply and demand. But until I actually started to garage sale, I didn't really grasp that concept in person. So you're buying and selling items direct to consumer on platforms like eBay, Mercari, Facebook Marketplace. That provides a real-time, real-life understanding of these concepts, and it's changing on the daily. So you'll start to learn to have a pulse. You'll start to gain an intuition of when certain things are going to go up in price and why, and I'll talk a little bit more about that when I get into the sports card investing piece, which will be for another separate post video. But items that have low production runs are worth significantly more money, especially if they're in mint condition. So condition matters. Low print runs, low production runs. When you talk about vintage items, possibly, things like My Little Ponies, vintage ones from the 80s, they're hard to find because people never thought they'd become worth something, right? They're hard to find in good condition, and that makes all the difference in the world. And then as that generation got older, and they wanted to feel that nostalgia of their childhood. Nostalgia is very underpriced. That's a direct quote from Gary Vee. I'm not going to steal it from him. But it's very true when you look at what sells. So if you look at American Girl dolls, the average doll probably, I've sold a couple. My mom had some in our house, and she gave me a bunch of stuff to sell, so go ask your parents. She just wanted it out. So I sold $2 for $50. So 25 each, right? And they're from the early 90s. But when you look at the two listings I had here that were sold, you had first year Pleasant Company white body. You can see sort of like the white cloth on the body, not the skin tone color. Those are worth significantly more. You can see this one sold for $255. And then this other one with accessories, and this doll looks to be in really good condition, sold for $367. That's a huge increase. So you'll start to understand with the supply and demand, but then condition can affect that. There's certain Michael Jordan cards that they're worth in certain grades and in poor condition $20. But if you find one that's a PSA 10, it's in mint condition, it can be worth $800. So as you're looking at garage sales, you'll start to figure out, okay, items that are in good condition are going to sell faster and they sell for a better price. Culture matters. This is the fun part of garage selling. I think it's awesome. I love it. You just learn about people. Why do they buy things, right? Why are they selling things? What's the story behind it? You get to meet a lot of really fascinating people at garage sales. I love talking to them just about the items they have and things like that. But understanding your customer means that you have to enter their world and put yourself in their shoes, right? If you don't know anything about comics, Ninja Turtles, sports cards, Craftsman wrenches, Nerf guns, like you start to learn that market, what people care about, why they care about it, and it gives you such a breadth of experience that you start to see patterns across these verticals. And getting into so many niches, it forces you to develop empathy for your customer if you want to be successful. And this is what starts to feed your ability to identify trends. Because what's happening in one market, maybe the comic world, the very similar things are going to happen in other verticals. So one of my best flips was buying a comic for $1 and flipping it for 80. So I didn't necessarily know that this isn't my sale. I don't know why Mercari wasn't showing it, but prices have actually gone up since. I knew a little bit about comics. I knew that comic book collectors really care about the first appearance of certain villains or characters. Like, that's sort of a piece of history, and it's that nostalgia. But what I also learned is when movies come out that feature new characters, they all of a sudden, the comics that have the first introduction of those characters go up in value because it's a cultural reminder. It's getting the spotlight. People are like, oh yeah, you know what? I want to go get that comic. That's so cool they're coming out with a movie. So again, like I didn't quite know. I bought a couple comics that I thought, again, I saw that this was Carnage Part 1 and it was in good condition. That was big. And I listed it and I sold it the next day for 80. I probably could have gotten more if I were more well versed. But now I have a sense for comics and what they're worth and why, I can now be able to predict why certain comics might go up. I'd be willing to bet that certain classic Joker comics, even though he's already had a couple of movies, with the new one that just came out with Joaquin Phoenix, I wouldn't be surprised if those prices have gone up even more because there's a lot more attention and spotlight on it. And the opportunity for you all, if you really want to dive in, is look where no one else is looking. Look at some other characters. Go read some information about what Marvel's coming out for the next 5 years, what DC is going to be coming out with. You might be able to predict and then go grab some first introductions of those characters and hold them, even if it's for a couple years, if you can do that, and then you'll see those values go up. And that's what, think about the stock market. It's very similar in identifying like what's getting the spotlight, what are people not paying attention to, and then why do they pay attention to that? So the next piece is finding value. So garage selling it's not about ripping people off or taking advantage of them. I have had people ask me about that. I sold 2 travel bags. I bought them for $30, the roller bags. I sold one for $150, and I sold another for, I believe it was like $100 or $110. So after fees and all that stuff, I was really looking at like a $200 profit. When I went to the woman's house who owned them, she just said, look, I know these are worth a lot more, but I need them out of my house. I'm not going to ship them. I'm just going to take them to Goodwill, otherwise. And I've had the same thing with golf clubs. I bought a really nice set of golf clubs, $600-700 new, a bunch of other different clubs. And the guy just said, look, I got to get rid of these. give me $60. I think I ended up selling, I sold them individually. I had to find boxes. I had to find boxes for the bags. I was running around, going to golf courses to try to get them to give me the right boxes for this. And all in all, I think I made about $200 or $250 profit for the golf clubs, $200 profit for those bags. So we're looking at like $450 in profit, but it took a lot of work. It took a lot of work to list, to figure out, which golf clubs, should be listed, what condition they were in, what they're worth, looking at the comps, like doing all of that work, putting them each individual one on eBay, then finding boxes and getting them shipped. And, it was pretty stressful and it was a lot of work, but that's how you find value. Those people didn't have the distribution. They wanted to get rid of it. They still made some money. One of the bags I had to clean up a little bit. I find that right now I've got a bunch of Craftsman wrenches soaking in some vinegar so I can get the rust off. They're not, I bought them for $5 and I'll probably sell for 40 or 50, but I had to go buy the vinegar. I got to put it in and see, maybe they don't clean off and that devalues them, right? So I think ultimately this is about finding and creating value. People have stuff that they don't want to deal with. You can find those things that are underpriced. You can spot trends and you can make those bets and you can find things, buy bulk items and go through them one by one, to figure out like, okay, I get Matchbox cars, maybe one or two of them. I bought a bunch of Disney stuffed animals with the tags for $85. I think I got like 50 of them and I spent 4 or 5 hours listing them. It turned out that a couple of them, I think I averaged like $3 per or $2 per. I did the same with Disney pins. I bought a bunch of pins for like 40 cents each. And I found a couple pins that were worth $10. And, a couple of the Disney dolls were worth like $35. But I had to go through every single one and post them on eBay and post them on Mercari and all those platforms. So it took work, but you're still able to make money from that. And then you start to learn all of these principles in action. So I listed here just one of the sales I had for the Craftsman, the open piece ignition wrench set, but Craftsman, it's American made, typically pretty popular, especially because mechanics, I think, like to buy their tools used. You can get it at a big discount. So I'm providing value to them, right? So distribution, there's multiple ways to get your items out there. There's eBay, Mercari, Letgo, Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, OfferUp, Etsy, Poshmark, Amazon. So part of the work is cross-listing items, but when they sell, make sure that you're taking them down, right? So there's a lot of advantages and benefits, for different platforms. Facebook Marketplace doesn't have fees. Craigslist doesn't have fees, but they don't have the same distribution as, say, an eBay. But if you have really popular items, like that toothbrush or like those iPods or Pokemon cards are coming back. That's another trend. I've sold a bunch of Pokemon cards. You want to try to sell those on Facebook Marketplace because eBay doesn't take that 10% off the top, right? Plus, with eBay and Mercari, like you pay the fees, but you have to do the shipping. Shipping can be difficult, but again, there's advantages. They have a bigger market. So you'll learn quickly about this and you'll start to figure this out. And distribution is really important within a company. In any role, and figuring out how to get your product to the customer and where to market that. And you really learn why some distribution channels are more valuable for certain products and less for others. You start to get really good at that. I think the ability to ship well gives you a competitive advantage. So one of the things, I didn't have a printer. I didn't have a scale to sort of weigh my packages and figure out what the heck do these things weigh and how much is it going to cost when I put it into eBay. Mercari is really great because you can just put a range of weights and it's one fixed cost. And I think that that's just really easy. But then getting boxes, I started to ask my friends for their Amazon boxes or Save My boxes because that gives me a competitive advantage. So if I go to someone, and I've had friends that they want to sell stuff, but they don't know how to ship it, I'll buy it from you for a certain price. I'm going to mark it up because I've got the shipping and the handling and things like that. Same thing with garage sales. If you have the ability to ship and reach that larger audience and you can write good content, you write good copy, you present it well, you have good feedback, good ratings, you ship well, that adds value. So customer service, you can see below. This is just eBay. I have 77 positive feedback. On Mercari, I think I have like 75 5 stars, 1 4-star. Actually, for that comic, because I didn't ship it with a backboard. I didn't realize that for comics. Same thing with sports cards. You have to put 2 pieces of cardboard over the cards. I can do a video about that. But reviews matter. They matter for eBay, Mercari, but they also matter for your car dealership. They matter for your digital marketing agency. They matter for your restaurant. They matter for your school system. I mean, it's something that's ubiquitous in the business world, and it really gives you the opportunity to build sort of your self brand, but learn, how that's going to impact you. You'll get better pricing, I think, or your sell sometimes for premium when you have more positive reviews. I've noticed that as I've gotten more reviews, I've sold higher ticket items faster. Items that are $400, $500, because I've got 77 positive reviews and a lot of people saying, that the item was shipped as described, and it was, quick shipping and good communication, things like that. So arbitrage is a real thing. Prices for the same item can vary significantly by platform. It's crazy how this happens. And again, I think it just goes back to the fact that you probably can find things for a cheaper price on Facebook. First of all, there's no fees taken out of it. But also people don't have the ability to ship. They don't have as large of an audience. I found some Kiss dolls. I found a full set, and that's something you want to look for when you have certain items. You want the full set. I forget what they were called. They were little dolls, but they were in boxes, and the guy was like, hey, I'm moving. He had it listed for 20. I asked for 15. You get to practice negotiation on a regular basis. Sold them to me for 15. I listed them on Mercari that night. I had a box that was perfect for them. Sold them for 50. After fees, 45. So $30 profit for driving the 10 minutes. And then, spending the 10 minutes to list, and then, 10 minutes to ship it out. But again, like for him, he wanted to get rid of them. I was a buyer, and he's like, thank gosh, I found someone to take these things. I didn't want to throw them away. And then I was able to then arbitrage that and get some profit on Mercari. And this shouldn't be looked at as a negative thing. There's loads of businesses based on arbitrage. TJ Maxx is a really great example. They take overstocked items that before they get liquidated, or this is a method for liquidation, they put them in their stores at a discount. So they win at sort of a reverse arbitrage. You can go in and buy things that are less expensive, but it might be in that particular region a certain winter jacket didn't sell well, so TJ Maxx buys it for pennies on the dollar and marks it up. Same thing with digital marketing. We're buying impressions at a certain price, marketing it up and selling it to our clients because we have better distribution, better execution, resources to be able to do that. Interestingly enough, Amazon tends to be the priciest for certain items, but it's because they have the best distribution, the easiest customer experience. So if you're flipping and you have new items, and there's a lot of restrictions around this, you can go to TJ Maxx and buy something and sell it at a higher price on Amazon. TJ Maxx is limited to the local market. Amazon is not limited to the local market. So maybe you got some Miami Dolphins stuff. That's a bad example because they're terrible this year. Maybe you've got some 49ers jackets that somehow ended up in Boston, Massachusetts at some TJ Maxx, and they've got these winter jackets. They're probably on clearance because nobody there is buying the San Francisco jacket. You put that on eBay, you can double the price because now all of a sudden you're reaching, the fans of the 49ers, and, they're looking for this, and it's all sold out at their local TJ Maxx. And you're still adding value because they couldn't, find those items in their local area, and it's probably cheaper than buying brand new from, the team's website or whoever sort of sells those things. You can literally build a skill set of arbitrage by garage selling, and you can scale it into a legitimate business. And principles of product management, you want to add value, but you need to build something for less than what you sell it for. And you need to add value in that process, whether it's the distribution, whether it's the pricing, the features, the condition, the rarity of the item, the value that it adds, the problem that it solves for the consumer. And you get to learn this day in and day out. So how can you do this? I mentioned at the beginning of this video, pause it right now. Go find something in your house that maybe is still in a box, a pair of shoes that you never wore, an iPod that you've had, sitting in a desk drawer that you think, oh, nobody's going to want that. But little do you know, there's different use cases for people who do want an iPod but don't want to have their phones on them while they're running. That's a real thing. People still buy those iPods. Go post it on Facebook Marketplace. If you don't have the Facebook app, go to Craigslist, post it right now, and then you're in the game. Then you're starting. You just got to get one sale. You build momentum. Download the yard sale treasure map. This is a lifesaver. This kind of saves you a lot of time from looking on Facebook and looking on Craigslist for garage sales. This will aggregate them all in one place. It's Friday night, and I'm spending my Friday night recording this video. Wake up tomorrow, go to the gym, do your breakfast, do whatever makes you happy, but go to a garage sale. It's still fall. The weather's still fine. There's still garage sales going on. Just go do it. That's it. Like, this is the easiest way. If you're sitting here and thinking to yourself, all right, I want a little extra money. I need to practice negotiation. I need to, with low stakes, I need to, learn about content. I need to learn about marketing. I need to learn about empathy, trends. Any of these things, you can literally go do it right now by starting with something in your home or just going to a garage sale tomorrow or Sunday. Go to 1, go to 2, go to 20. I think the most I've done is like 15 and anyway, go out and do it. So what's next? So if you made it this far in the video, that's awesome. I appreciate that. So subscribe, hit that subscribe button below. I'll be posting more videos, sort of, continuing the garage selling and things, and maybe some Facebook Marketplace arbitrage and what I do in the winter. But one of the things I want to talk about next is sports card investing. So I began to take my profits from the GarageSaling, which again is about $2,500. I think, and I've gotten rolling. I have people now asking me to sell items for them, and I've got a couple deals in the works that are going to bump me up like another $1,000, and doing it part time and learning and getting paid. It's just amazing. But this is another sort of micro business, and it's really fun. I mean, if you play fantasy football, basketball, any sport, you like women's soccer, they were great to invest in because then, they won the World Cup, which I missed that, but they were pretty much guaranteed to do it because they're amazing. But I did highlight here Patrick Mahomes, Prism Silver, PSA 10 rookie card. This one right now, it's up for auction. It's over $1,000. They've sold as high as $1,600. If I were sort of on here right now, I'd be showing you off. I just got one back from grading. It's a PSA 10. They did lose last week, so his price has actually dipped, but I think he's facing Deshaun Watson this week. Big matchup. I think they're going to win. I think his cards are going to go up even higher. But for perspective, I bought this card for $70 on Mercari, and I sent it in for grading, and it got a PSA 10. So it cost $12 to grade. So I'm $82 all in, and right now, tonight I probably could sell this thing for $1,100 or $1,200. Take away the fees, and we're looking at $1,000 profit. So the sports card market, it's white hot, but all the principles that I talked about here apply, and it's a lot of fun. And there's ways where you can buy, you don't have to buy $1,000. You can buy dollar cards, flip those, and again, learn about distribution, creating value, conditions, supply and demand. Just some really great lessons if you have kids and you want to inspire your children to sort of start building business skills. High school students, college students. If you're in college right now, I cannot think of a better way when everybody's moving out. Go buy a bunch of stuff, for the cheap. Go get their TVs. Go put them on Facebook Marketplace. You could probably do that in lieu of a summer job, and that's, going to be the best experience for you. So, again, thank you for, listening to this, and, hit subscribe, and, I'll be posting more videos soon.